places for the kids to play. I do know we have a beautiful park in La Puente Park, but I do know many of the our students, when they want to go play over there, I know there's restrictions. There's no place for them to really play soccer or to play sports there because there are restrictions there because they have a lot of leagues there. So if we can open up one of our school sites to be a park, I would like to see that. But I would like to get some recommendations from the district to see what we can and cannot do. And I don't want to say no to any options right now because I don't know what's out there, what we can and cannot do. So I want to see what can we do, what other districts have done, a way to bring in enrollment, maybe bring in money for the district. So I don't want to say, I only want to see this. I want to see all the options to see what's the best option for our district, because I really don't know what's out there. Just for the few couple of conferences that I went to, they had some great ideas, but I know there's many great ideas that we can use to utilize our properties that are closed for the betterment of our students and for our community. So maybe one area might need more community services there. Maybe that would be a great for one of the school properties. Then will be maybe a park, a green space, or another one will be a workforce housing, or many other options that, for me, I can't think of right now. So I would like recommendations from the district to see if there's funding out there, grants that we can apply for, so we can minimize the cost for the district, or maybe there's ways that we can utilize this so we can bring money into the district, because we know we have a budget that we got to be looking at for the next couple of years. If there's a way we can get money in for our revenue. So I want to see all possible options that we as a district can do. Yes, for the use of the closed district properties, I would like options, recommendations from the district of many different ways if there's a way we can utilize these schools to help with enrollment. Whatever we need, I do know in one of the needs that I've gone to when we've gone to conferences, one was there's a lot of money out there for workforce housing, and that is not building condos where our families can't afford it. So some kind of workforce to keep our families here so our kids can come to the school, stay in our schools here. That's just an option. I don't know if it's the best option for our schools, but I just want to see all the options that are out there. And for workforce housing, it's what this board decides what to do, how to say what is workforce housing. And part of that, we've had discussions. I've talked to Dr. Jimenez, going to the conference, that they also offer in there also housing for our foster youth, because that we do know many of our foster youth, when they turn 18 in the middle of school, they have nowhere to go. So that's an option that we can offer. That also housing also for our students that don't go to university, but they go to a community college, but they can't afford to house it on their own. So there's many options we can look at when we do workforce housing, and the board decides what that's going to look like. And then maybe add some to help our students, to help our community members. So when I say workforce, I'm not talking about any specific person. I just any specific group of people. I am saying workforce size. I want to see what it looks like. I want to see the options. I just want to see the options for everything. I don't know about magnets. I haven't looked at anything, but if we're bringing someone in to take our students, that I have an issue with that. So I don't know exactly, but I would like that. I do have an issue if you bring someone in and they could take our students. That's not gonna help our district. So that I don't have an opinion on right now, because I don't have information on that right now. But yes, I just wanted to clarify that our state superintendent, Tony Thurman, is pushing for statewide initiatives to create affordable housing for educators and other school staff, not just teachers. It's intended to support middle income workers such as police officers, firefighters. So it's not to say he only wants it for teachers is not true. It is to help with the housing crisis that we have right now. So if there's something we can do to bring more families with more children, then we need to look at that. But to say he's only saying it's only for teachers, that is not true. just want to clarify that it is not just for teachers when he says workforce housing, and workforce housing encompasses many different things. So I would like an executive summary from our staff when we bring our options, all the different options, so we can look at everything. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that we should be doing condos for anything like that. That I'm not okay with that. I'm saying what are options to bring, because our workforce do have families. We want to keep them here so they don't go somewhere where it's more cheaper for their house because they can't afford to live in this area. So if there's a way we could keep families here, we mentioned at the last board meeting that there's workers that come here, but they take their kids somewhere else. So if there's a way we can have our workforce keep their kids here, that will increase enrollment. So I'm just looking at all the options out there. I'm not saying workforce housing for teachers only, and that's what Tony Thurmond wants. I'm saying to look at all the options, and I'm not just saying for teachers. I'm saying workforce housing. We have more workers here than just teachers. So I just want to clarify that.
For workforce housing, and then you added families. Those are two different type of housings, in case you didn't know. And so the teachers union across the state has been advocating for teachers housing when they reference workforce housing. So it's very important to be clear when you're communicating that, because that is what the political agenda with Tony Thurmond and now his political agenda is, to do workforce housing for teachers, which is discriminatory to all the other staff. And if they actually said families that are homeless, I would entertain it, but that's not what workforce housing is intended to say. But it should not be discriminatory that we're only choosing the teachers, because that is what Tony Thurmond referenced, the teachers housing, and that's what he promised CTA to support his campaign. And so that's what I'm saying, that it should not be earmarked just for teachers. And you keep saying two things, okay? So I hear you say workforce housing. You reiterated that he is not only saying teachers, he's saying different staff. So you keep reiterating workforce housing examples, but then you say, but let's bring more families. Let's be clear, you might want to do some research. Maybe you could bring us an executive summary, the difference between housing development and workforce housing. And so what Mr. Thurmond is advocating for workforce housing, and I'm not advocating for workforce housing, because our workforce gets paid the most in this area. Within a 30-mile radius, our staff gets paid the most, okay? Now, could they get paid more? Yes. I wish they would, right? But the rest of the community, they're the lowest paid people in the whole community. That's why we're losing people to Victorville and Palmdale and out of other places, because the families cannot stay here. And so there is a difference between housing development and workforce housing. And I'd be open to entertaining housing for families to keep them here.
And I love magnet schools. You bring in link learning, which is the community, to come over and support you with that. I brought this many times. It is legal. It was brought in, and look it up.
A bit here. Number one is that if you went to the budget town halls, you saw the amount of money that this district spends in the millions of dollars to maintain these properties. Valley, for example, I believe, Mr. Ricciardi said that we spent $3.5 million for nothing because it's just fallow. And we still have a degradation of its infrastructure, whether it's roofing or whatever the case is. So there are very real monetary consequences with respect to this. So let's understand this. Regarding, somebody said about extra athletic, facilities. I actually agree with that. So I had already floated the idea of, can we turn our cafeterias into gyms, right? I think it's easy to do and so forth, at least feasibility. I'm not an expert, just brought it up. The problem with magnet schools is that magnet schools cherry pick these kids from the rest of the schools, right? Then you're going to have low performance across the district, right? And then you're going to have an issue with that. So let's understand this. There's going to be cause and effect. All right. The other thing I will tell you is that you talk about iPoly, right? iPoly, which is in Cal Poly Pomona. I would tell you, I was here when we had a problem with iPoly because they were recruiting our kids from Melinda to go there outside of our school district. If you were to do this with Cal Poly, I'm just saying you open up the possibility. They come here, great, they're going to go to iPoly. All right. We have to be deliberate on what we can do with respect to this. This is not a situation that's going to be unhinged, right? We got to be